My parents didn't show up to my graduation, but 3 days later, they showed up asking me for $2,100. And that was the moment I realized the truth. I wasn't the burden in this family. I was the bank. And the moment I told them no, everything changed. I graduated from Portland State University last month. No celebration, no group photos, no dinner plans. I didn't mind being alone. But what hurt was realizing my parents never planned to come. No message, no congrats, not even a delivered text. Just silence. I walked across the stage holding my diploma like I was proud of myself. But when the crowd erupted for everyone else and my section stayed silent, it hit deeper than I expected. When the ceremony ended, I pulled out my phone. Still nothing. So I took the bus home, in my graduation gown, sitting next to people who didn't even know my name. On that ride, I kept lying to myself. Maybe they forgot their phone. Maybe something urgent happened. Maybe they'll text later. But I knew the truth. They simply didn't care. I went to sleep pretending it didn't bother me. But silence hits different when it comes from the people who raised you. For the next 3 days, not a single word. Until suddenly, they weren't silent anymore. 3 days after my graduation, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Not congratulations, not apologies, not even a "how are you?" Just 2 messages. Mom, come home. We need to talk. Dad, urgent. Come now. A tiny piece of me wanted to believe this was finally the moment they realized they messed up. So I went. But when I walked into the house, it didn't feel like home. They were both sitting at the dining table, not like parents waiting for their child, but like 2 debt collectors waiting for their repayment. Mom didn't smile. Dad didn't even look up. Instead, Mom pushed a folded paper toward me. "You owe us $2,100. Pay today." I laughed for a second because it sounded ridiculous. But their faces didn't move. Me. For what? Dad. Don't act clueless. Your food, your phone 3 bill, days after my your medical graduation, expenses, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Mom. Not congratulations. We added interest too. Not apologies. Interest. Not even a "how are you?" My own parents were charging me interest. Just 2 messages. I tried explaining I didn't have that kind of money. I just graduated. We need to talk. But they didn't care. Dad leaned back and said, "Urgent. Maybe we raised the wrong kid." A tiny piece of me wanted to believe this was finally the moment they realized they messed up. Then Mom leaned in and said, "So I went. Either pay us by tonight, but when I walked into the house, call the police and report you for theft." It didn't feel like home. Theft. They were both sitting at the dining table. Not like something in me waiting for their child. It switched, but like 2 debt collectors waiting for their repayment. I didn't defend myself. Mom didn't. I just stood up and walked out quietly. Because they had absolutely no idea what was coming next. I drove back to my apartment with my hands shaking. Pay today. Not from fear. I laughed but from clarity because it sounded ridiculous. For the first time in my life, but their faces I saw my parents exactly as they were. For what? Not confused, not stressed, not struggling. Don't act clueless. Strategic. Your food, calculated. Your phone bill, cruel. Your medical expenses. They thought I was broke, helpless. Mom, easy to corner. We added interest too, because what they didn't know was my own parents had already been selected for a paid university fellowship. I tried explaining I didn't have that kind of money. I just graduated with a signing bonus. But I never leaned back and said, because every time I succeeded, we raised the wrong kid. They twisted it until it felt like failure. That one sentence hit harder than I sat on my couch, opened my laptop, then Mom leaned in and one sentence I should have typed years ago. Either pay us by tonight, I will not be paying you anything. Or we'll call the police and report you for theft. Do not contact me again. Theft. Blocked both from my own parents. 5 minutes later, something in me didn't break. Called. It was my sister, whispering like she was hiding from them. I didn't defend myself. Alex, I just stood up. Come home. And Mom was losing quietly. They actually called the police because they had absolutely no idea what was coming next. Family money. I drove back to my apartment with my hands shaking. I was the family money. Not from fear, not them, but from clarity. I exhaled and said calmly, for the first time in my life, I saw my parents exactly as they were. I had every receipt, not stressed, every transfer, not struggling, every message where they asked me for calculated, money, every bill I paid. They thought I was every broke, month they owed me rent and never paid. Corner. If they wanted a war, because what they didn't know was, because I had already been selected for a paid university fellowship. I wasn't the kid they could control anymore. Starting next week, I was the adult they underestimated, but I never told them. And round one, every time I succeeded, they twisted it until it felt like failure. I woke up to 5 voicemails. I sat on my couch, opened my laptop, the police department, and typed one sentence I should have typed years ago, but serious. I will not be paying you anything. Please come in for questioning regarding a theft report filed by your parents. 5 minutes
Theft.
later, a private number
From
called.
people who hadn't
It was
bought
my
me a
sister,
birthday cake in
whispering
8
like she
years.
was hiding from them.
People I paid rent
Alex,
for.
don't come home.
I sat up slowly.
Mom is losing it.
The weight of
They actually
everything
called the
sinking
police.
in.
They're saying
This
you
wasn't
stole
just
family
messy
money.
anymore.
Family
It was official.
money. There was no
I
family
grabbed
money.
the folder I never
I was
thought
the
I'd
family
use.
money, not
The
them.
evidence folder.
I exhaled and said calmly,
Inside.
let them.
Every transfer I made.
Because here was the thing they forgot.
Screenshots of them
I had
asking
every
for money.
receipt,
Utility
every
bills I paid.
transfer,
Medical
every
receipts,
message where they asked
the rent
me for
agreement
money,
they signed
every
but
bill
never
I
honored.
paid. Every month
took a
they
deep
owed me
breath
rent and never
and
paid.
walked into the station.
If they wanted a war,
A young officer waved me to sit.
because
He
for the
opened
first
the
time
file,
in my life,
looked at the papers,
I wasn't the kid they could
and
control
his face
anymore.
changed instantly. I was the
He
adult
flipped
they
through pages
underestimated.
faster. Then
And
slower.
round one had already
Then
started.
he looked at me.
The
Sir,
next morning, I woke
these
up
documents
to 5
show they owe you
voicemails,
money.
all from the police department.
I didn't say a word.
Each one polite,
He continued,
but serious.
This isn't a theft case.
Please come in for questioning.
This looks like
regarding
harassment.
a theft report filed by
He
your
leaned
parents.
back, almost frustrated on
Theft.
my behalf.
From people
Do you
who
want
hadn't
to press
bought me
charges?
a birthday cake in 8
I
years.
stared at the table for a moment.
People I paid rent
I wasn't
for.
thinking about revenge.
I sat up
or
slowly.
winning.
The
I was
weight of
thinking about every
everything
time my
sinking in.
parents told me, this wasn't
You're
just
lucky
messy
we kept
anymore.
You
It was
cost us
official.
too much. I
You
grabbed
owe
the
us
folder I
everything.
never thought I'd use.
And now they wanted to
The
put me in
evidence
handcuffs
folder.
over $2,100.
Every
I
transfer
exhaled.
I made.
No.
I just
Screenshots
want
of
distance.
them asking for money.
The officer
Utility
nodded.
bills I paid.
We'll close
medical
the case.
receipts. And we'll
The
be
rent
calling
agreement
them
they
next.
signed but never honored.
As I walked out of the
I took a
precinct
deep
for the
breath
first time in years
and walked into the station.
I felt something shift
A
inside
young
me.
officer waved me
Not
to
anger,
sit. He
not
opened the
fear,
file, looked
freedom.
at the papers,
Real freedom.
and his face changed instantly.
And my parents?
He flipped through
They were
pages
about to get a
faster,
call from the police.
then slower, but not the one
Then
they
he looked at
expected.
me.
Sir, these documents show they owe you money. I didn't say a word. He continued. This isn't a theft case. This looks like harassment. He leaned back, almost frustrated on my behalf. Do you want to press charges? I stared at the table for a moment. I wasn't thinking about revenge or winning. I was thinking about every time my parents told me, "You're lucky we kept you. You cost us too much. You owe us everything." And now they wanted to put me in handcuffs over $2,100? I exhaled. No. I just want distance. The officer nodded. We'll close the case, and we'll be calling them next. As I walked out of the precinct for the first time in years, I felt something shift inside me. Not anger. Not fear. Freedom. Real freedom. And my parents? They were about to get a call from the police, but not the one they expected. When I reached home that afternoon, the neighborhood group chat was on fire. My parents had posted a long, dramatic message. Our child betrayed us. He stole our family savings. We're heartbroken. Family savings? They never saved a single dollar. People in the neighborhood began replying, Are you sure? This doesn't sound like him. Do you have proof? My parents ignored every question. Instead, they doubled down. More emotional quotes, more crying emojis, more victim theatrics. It was manipulation, the same way they controlled me my whole life. And then suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was my aunt, the only person who ever stood beside me. Her message was simple. Come over, now. When I reached her house, she didn't ask questions. She didn't accuse me. She didn't guilt-trip me. She simply handed me her iPad. Read, she said quietly. I scrolled, and my whole world stopped. It was a folder, filled with hundreds of screenshots and messages. Messages my parents had been sending relatives for years, calling me selfish, saying I used them for money, claiming they rescued me from debt, twisting every story, playing the victim in every situation. It was pages and pages of lies built over years. My chest tightened, my stomach twisted, my eyes started burning. My aunt touched my arm gently. Sweetheart, they've been like this for a long time. But this time, they crossed the final line. She took a breath. Then she said the one sentence that changed the entire direction of the story. It's time you separate your life from theirs. Legally, financially, permanently. I looked at her, unsure, overwhelmed. She continued, I'll help you, and you won't go through this alone ever again. For the first time in my life, someone was choosing me.
not using me, not blaming me, not manipulating me, choosing me. And that changed everything. My aunt poured me a glass of water and said quietly, "Before we do anything, you need to see one more thing." She opened her laptop and clicked a video file. It was a security camera recording. My parents were sitting in my childhood living room, talking to my sister. My mother's voice was sharp. "He'll give us money if we pressure him. Just cry a little. Say Dad has medical bills." My sister laughed. "And after he pays, we block him again?" My dad nodded. "Of course. We only need him when we're low on cash." My entire body went numb. I wasn't watching a mistake. I wasn't watching a misunderstanding. I was watching the truth. My aunt paused the video and looked at me. "Now you understand why they're suddenly acting like victims. They're scared," she whispered. "Because you said no for the first time." I didn't realize my hands were shaking. I asked softly, "What do I do now?" She didn't hesitate. Step 1. Freeze every financial connection. Bank, phone plan, insurance, everything. Step 2. File your statement before they twist the story again. Before I could speak, her phone buzzed. She checked the screen and gave a small nod. "He's here," she said. The door opened. A man in a sharp suit stepped inside, carrying a thick legal folder. He shook my hand. "I've reviewed everything," he said. "You're safe. But your parents might not be." My stomach tightened. He continued. "They filed a false report. They fabricated evidence. And now there's digital proof of manipulation." He placed the folder on the table. "Alex, if you choose to pursue this, the law will be on your side." My aunt squeezed my shoulder. "You're not alone anymore." And for the first time, I believed her. The lawyer opened his folder and slid a stack of printed screenshots toward me. "These," he said, "are the messages your parents submitted to the police." I leaned forward and felt my stomach twist. The messages were fake, poorly edited, wrong bubble shapes, repeated timestamps, fonts that didn't even match the app. My hands curled into fists. The lawyer stayed calm. "They used a beginner editing app. It's sloppy, but that's good for us." He turned another page. "And here is the part they didn't expect us to find." He pulled out a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter from the police chief himself. I read the first line. "Your parents attempted to manipulate officers with fabricated evidence." My aunt gasped. The lawyer nodded. "The case is now being escalated to an investigative fraud unit." My heart pounded. Not because I was scared, but because this was the first time someone in authority was saying out loud what I had felt my whole life. They were wrong. Not me. The lawyer slid one more document across the table. "This is your protection clearance. Signed, filed, active immediately." He looked at me directly. "They can't touch your accounts. They can't accuse you. They can't involve your name in anything." My aunt gently rubbed my back. "You're safe now, sweetheart." For a moment, I actually believed her. I wasn't broken. I wasn't helpless. I was waking up. The lawyer closed the folder. "We're not finished," he said. "Detectives want to meet you tomorrow morning." Detectives. This was no longer a family issue. This was a criminal case. And the truth was about to explode. The next morning, my aunt drove me to the precinct. The sky looked gray, like the day already knew what was coming. Inside, a detective in a navy suit stepped forward. "Alex Carter?" I nodded. "I'm Detective Harris. Come with me." His office was quiet, the kind of quiet where truth has weight. He closed the door, sat down, and placed a thick stack of papers on his desk. "These," he said, "are your parents' bank withdrawals over the last 6 months." He slid them across to me. I scanned the pages, and my entire chest tightened. Same-day withdrawals. Same amounts, different ATMs across the city. Detective Harris leaned back. "This wasn't a mistake. This was systematic." My aunt let out a shaky breath. But he wasn't done. He opened a small manila envelope and pulled out printed photographs. Grainy stills from ATM security cameras. My parents, clear as day. Taking money out. My money. Detective Harris tapped the photos. These prove they withdrew every dollar themselves. My eyes stung. My hands shook. He watched me for a long moment before asking, "When was the last time they treated you like family?" The question hit deeper than any evidence on the table. I searched my memory. Birthdays, holidays, graduations. Every memory felt like a bruise. Finally, I whispered, "I don't think they ever did." Detective Harris nodded, as if he already expected that answer. He slid one final document toward me. "This is an authorization paper. Not for their arrest, not yet, but to legally protect you while we build the final case." My name was printed at the top, my signature line at the bottom. Everything I never had growing up, safety, protection, someone in my corner, was now in front of me in a single sheet of paper. Detective Harris folded his hands. "Alex, people who cross this line, they don't stop." A heavy silence filled the room. I swallowed. "What happens next?" He exhaled slowly. "Now," he said, "you prepare for the fallout." That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the ATM photos. Their faces. Not parents, not family. Just two strangers who happened to raise me. By morning, I felt hollow. My aunt made breakfast, but my hands were shaking too much to hold a fork. Just before noon, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. "Alex, this is Detective Harris. You need to come in again. Something new surfaced." His voice sounded tighter than yesterday. Whatever was coming next was worse. Much worse. I reached the precinct within 20 minutes. Detective Harris didn't even wait for me to sit. He closed the door, locked it, and placed a single sheet of paper on the table. A printed form, with my name on it. My signature. My authorization. Except, it wasn't my signature. My stomach dropped. Detective Harris spoke quietly. "Your parents submitted this anonymously last night. They're trying to prove you gave them permission to handle your accounts." My throat tightened. The signature looked similar, but wrong. The curve was off. The initials were shaky. The pressure marks didn't match. Detective Harris slid two more documents beside it. Real forms I had signed in the past. He didn't have to explain. Anyone could see the difference. He tapped the forged one. "This is identity fraud, Alex. Not manipulation, not emotional abuse. This is a criminal act." My chest burned. I whispered, "They really did this?" He nodded. And they didn't stop there. He opened a laptop and rotated the screen toward me. There it was. A full PDF report my parents created. Fake legal stamps, fake signatures, fake letters from banks, fake notices from a court clerk, fake statements claiming I was financially unstable, all designed to prove that I needed parental oversight. I felt sick. Detective Harris spoke softly. "They were building a false case to take full control of your accounts, your credit, your name." It was like the floor dropped beneath me. Not just money. Not just accusations. They wanted control over my entire life. My identity. He placed one more file on the table. "Alex, I need you to understand something." His voice was firm. "They didn't forge this by accident. They didn't panic. This is organized, planned, deliberate." I stared at the fake signature again. Not mine. A stranger's attempt to become me. Detective Harris leaned forward. "Tell me honestly. Do you still want to keep things peaceful?" A long silence filled the room. The kind of silence that changes people. I swallowed hard. All the memories rushed back. Their insults, their demands, the lies, the manipulation, the threats, the police calls, the identity fraud. I finally understood. This wasn't a family fight. This was a takeover. I looked up at Detective Harris. My voice didn't shake this time. "No, I'm done." He paused, then nodded. Slowly, respectfully. "Then we move forward. Full charges. All the way. My heart pounded. Not from fear, from clarity, from choosing myself, for the first time in my life. Detective Harris walked me to a different room. Not the interview room. Something quieter, more serious. He closed the door and placed a new folder on the table. A thicker one. Alex, this is everything we've gathered so far. The folder contained bank screenshots, ATM photos, forged forms, fake emails, fake bank warnings, fake family financial department notices, and the PDF my parents created. He pointed to the forged authorization again. This is the anchor. This is what turns the case from family conflict into criminal intent. My chest tightened. He continued, "Your parents didn't panic. They strategized." He flipped open the folder. Inside was a printed message, a message they had sent to my employer. Fake legal formatting, fake reference numbers, fake signatures. The message claimed I had severe financial instability and possible psychological issues and needed temporary parental management over my income. My stomach twisted. Detective Harris tapped the document. "They tried to control your job too, Alex." I froze. He leaned forward. "This wasn't desperation. This was a takeover plan." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. He stood, walked to the whiteboard, and wrote 2 words. Phase 1. Phase 2. Under Phase 1, he listed fabricated emails, fake bank warnings, ATM withdrawals, forged authorization. Then he wrote Phase 2. Employer interference, false police claim, identity takeover, financial control. I stared at the board. It looked like a crime documentary. Except it was my life. Detective Harris turned back. "Alex, listen to me. What they're doing is methodical, predictable, and dangerous." He sat down again, face serious but calm. "The next 48 hours are critical. They will try something else, something bigger." My heart jumped. Like what? He didn't sugarcoat anything. Either a public smear or a legal stunt. I swallowed hard. "How do we stop them?" He slid a final document toward me. A legal order. My name at the top. His voice steady. "By filing for an emergency protective financial order. This will freeze every access point they've used, every loophole they've exploited." I stared at the paper. My future, my safety, my independence, all in one form. "If you sign this," he said softly, "they lose every route into your life." For a long moment, nothing moved. Then I picked up the pen. My hand didn't shake this time. I signed. Clean, sharp, final. Detective Harris collected the form and gave a small nod. Not a smile, not pity. Respect. "It's done." He folded the papers. "Alex, this is where the tide turns." And for the first time, I felt it. The shift. The momentum. The beginning of their end. The next morning, my phone lit up before sunrise. Not with calls, not with messages. A single notification. "Your protective financial order has been activated." For a moment, I just stared at the screen. Something inside me finally loosened. But the quiet didn't last long. At 9:14 a.m., my aunt stepped into my room. "Alex, Detective Harris just called. You need to come in again." My chest tightened. Again? We drove in silence, the air heavy with something unspoken. When we reached the precinct, Detective Harris wasn't in his usual calm mode. He was pacing, fast. He looked up the moment he saw me. "Alex, your parents made their first move." My throat went dry. "What? What did they do?" He didn't answer immediately. He motioned toward the conference room. Inside, a laptop was open. A paused video sat on the screen. A live stream replay. The title said, "Our son is dangerous. Please, help us." My blood froze. Detective Harris hit play. My parents appeared on screen, sitting on a couch, acting heartbroken. Fake tears, shaky voices, forced drama. My mother started. "He's unstable. He's violent. He threatened us." My father added, "We're scared for our lives. If anything happens to us." It's him. My aunt gasped. I just stared, numb. Detective Harris paused the video. This went public last night. 27,000 views already. The room swayed for a second. They're trying to destroy me publicly, I whispered. Detective Harris nodded. And they posted it right after your order was activated. This is retaliation. He walked around the table and placed a new printed page in front of me. A community report. Comments filled with strangers taking sides. Some calling me a monster. Some calling them liars. Most confused. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. I didn't do anything, I whispered. I know, Detective Harris said gently. And now, we prove it. He slid another file forward. This is a request for an emergency reputational protection review. Once we file it, any defamatory content they post can be taken down and used against them. My aunt squeezed my hand. Alex, this is them showing how scared they are. I swallowed. Because she was right. People lash out hardest when their lies stop working. Detective Harris sat across from me, voice low but steady. Listen to me, Alex. Their video proves something important. I looked up. He continued. They've stopped acting like parents and started acting like criminals. Silence filled the room. He placed a pen in front of me. Sign this. It protects your name, your career, and everything ahead of you. I stared at the paper. The comments, the lies, the performance, the years of manipulation, all of it. My hand didn't shake this time either. I signed. Slowly, deliberately, completely. Detective Harris nodded with resolve. Part 2 begins today, and trust me, they won't be ready for what comes next. And for the first time, I believed him. The next 24 hours felt like a storm waiting to hit. Detective Harris had filed the reputational protection order, but he warned me. Your parents won't stop. They'll escalate before they collapse. He was right. By evening, 3 more false posts went up online. Dramatic quotes, edited screenshots, fake conversations. But everything changed at 6:51 p.m. Detective Harris called again. His voice was calm. Too calm. Alex, you need to come in. We finally have the peace we were waiting for. My aunt drove us immediately. When we entered the precinct, Harris wasn't alone. 2 officers from the Financial Crimes Division stood beside him. He motioned for me to sit. Then he placed a single flash drive on the table. This, he said quietly, is the final nail in the coffin. He plugged it in. A new video opened. Security cam footage. My parents, in a bank office, talking to a manager. My mother whispered, "Can we temporarily freeze Alex's accounts? He's unstable. It's for his own safety." The manager looked confused. My father added, "If you can just approve the signature, we'll handle the rest." He slid a paper across the desk. My forged signature. My stomach twisted. The manager asked, "Is your son aware of this?" My father smiled, a cold smile. "He doesn't need to be." Detective Harris paused the video. "Alex, this crosses the final legal threshold. This is intentional account interference, identity falsification, financial coercion." He looked straight at me. "This isn't just manipulation. This is a federal crime." My aunt covered her mouth. I didn't speak. I couldn't. Detective Harris placed another document in front of me. "Tomorrow morning," he said, "we're filing full charges." The room felt cold and loud at the same time. My voice finally cracked. "What happens to them?" Harris answered softly, "That depends on the court. But whatever happens, you're protected. Legally, financially, publicly." I inhaled slowly, a long breath I'd been holding for years. He continued, "And, Alex, one more thing." He slid a sealed envelope toward me. "The district attorney reviewed your case. Your protection order is now permanent. Your parents can't contact you, mention you publicly, or access anything connected to your name." My aunt grabbed my hand. Her voice trembled. You're finally free, sweetheart. For the first time, I believed it. I stood up. The weight I'd carried my whole life, gone. Detective Harris looked at me with a rare half-smile. You survived something most adults never face. Don't underestimate what you just did. I nodded, and as we walked out of the precinct, the night air felt different. Not cold, not heavy, just open. Like a door had finally closed behind me, and a new one had opened ahead. This wasn't escape. This wasn't revenge. This was the beginning of a life that finally belonged to me. It's been 3 days since everything ended. 3 days since the investigation turned in my favor. 3 days since my parents were officially banned from contacting me. 3 days since I finally took my life back. I moved in with my aunt for now. It feels strange, but in a good way. For the first time, I wake up in a home that feels safe, quiet, real. Yesterday, Detective Harris called just to check in. Not about evidence, not about documents, just to make sure I was okay. He said something I'll never forget. You didn't break the family, Alex. You broke the cycle. And maybe he was right. Because I realized something. I didn't lose parents. I lost people who were pretending to be. And I gained something better. A life where I finally matter. A life where no one controls me. A life where I get to choose who's allowed in. I'm not healed yet. But for the first time, I'm healing in the right direction. And if you're watching this because you've been through something similar, here's what I learned. You don't owe anyone access to you, not even the people who raised you. Family isn't blood. Family is safety. And choosing yourself is not betrayal. It's survival. End of story. If you want part 2, like how my life changed after this, tell me in the comments. I'll share everything.